All right, let's wrap up conversations at the table. I'd love to kick it to some of you. We won't hear from everyone, but let's talk through what are some of the observations that you caught. Just let's shout them out. Energy. Didn't have it. No energy. Stage was messy. Papers everywhere. That. Your job is on the line. Yep. Agreed. What other things did you observe? Couldn't hear Cameron when he started singing or playing. Cameron didn't exist. Yeah, he didn't look zero. Like I told him I knew this was coming and I felt like you wanted to murder me. Like there was that. Oh. What else? What other observations? Lyrics. Lyrics were behind. Listen, I am a huge proponent of this. Every worship leader, band, your best friend is the graphics person. Not for just the confidence monitor, but the people that you so desperately want to lead will not follow you if they don't know the words. So if you're in time with the song, you're late. Like coach your graphics person to be ahead of what you're singing. Because if they're singing along, they're too late. And that was just awkward through that whole first song. What else? What? Say more. It wasn't inviting. Lost energy. There was no smile. No smile. Say what? Lyrics were misspelled. Okay. Anyone catch anything? Let's go back to bumper roll-in video. 2 songs simultaneously because we didn't talk through what fader is up. Lights were not in sync. If you missed it, the mouse came on screen during one of the transitions. To be honest with you, I don't know if we actually planned that one. You caught it, yes. Couple more. Right. Couldn't even see expression at that point. Did anyone catch the lighting cue? I mean, I know Tim would have, probably the first person. That's just not fair. But anyone else catch the lighting cues, changing songs, leaders? Allison was lit while Cameron was leading the room. You're like, I'm not sure what we're doing. Say that again? Yeah, so the lighting cue itself, the intensity didn't match the dynamic of the song. Part of me wonders how much Jeff actually enjoyed the obnoxious drum solo in the middle of a down moment. And here's my question there, though, for worship leaders, and I'm speaking out of someone that has learned a lot through failure. I'm a people pleaser at times, and so how many times have you let your volunteers go through a gathering because you were afraid to coach them differently than that moment? But in all seriousness, like maybe that's the singer is straying too far from the melody. People can't follow what they're singing. The drummer's overplaying. If you heard Manny, he changed up some chords that actually, I mean, some of those I like. I prefer. But then at one point, he's just overplaying in the bridge. And you're like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to focus on right now in this moment, but it's not Jesus. It's not this worship moment. It's just like how flashy this keys player is right now. If ever a moment where you're like holding your breath in a gathering, like a car crash is about to happen, It's that like that awkward silence that changes the vibe in the room completely. A couple more. Yeah. The key of the song matters, where you're living in the falsetto or can't project. Someone said, glad you're here moment. Energy, we're about to get started. Yeah.
It's an attention grabber. I just talked with this about Nick, actually. Or talked with Nick about this. Just flip it, whatever I said. But yeah, it's an attention grabber that should help build anticipation towards the top of the gathering. And honestly, musically, sound-wise, the pinnacle should be when the band starts. It shouldn't be bumper here, band here, right? It should all build anticipation to the start of the gathering.
Yes. Okay, so a couple key things I want to prior to giving modesty.
Hey, can I ask this real quick?
Yeah.
Like, those were all technical things that we didn't hit on or execute. Like, Jason is great at asking this. But how did it make you feel? What were the things you felt?
I heard sad, tired, bored.
Nobody cared.
No one cared.
Uncomfortable. Would not want to bring someone here for the first time. Didn't even want to stand.
So most of you didn't. In all seriousness, though, that like she would, if she changed her intro.
And here's the overlying principle with that. Jason says this all the time. Like, people will remember how they feel. Now we've just created a memorable experience of negative feelings. The top of our gathering.
Real quick, I want to hit before we give them a second try at this. So when we talk transitions, real quick, you may have even heard us say the word transition a lot. You just experienced a really rough 2 transitions, out of bumper and into song 2, the most awkward of all. But really, it's like, man, how do we keep the gathering feeling like less like we're just doing the elements of the gathering? And we talk about this a lot as worship leaders in production. How do we create a cohesive arc to the gathering where it's intentional, it has purpose, we've thought through transitions. And so when we say transitions, it's how are these songs connecting and pulling people along and not causing them to feel like uncomfortable, like what's about to happen. Secondly is just clarity. Okay, so clarity is key. Clarity is, can I hear the person giving the welcome? And if I can hear them, is what they're saying actually clear? Does it make sense? Does it actually match what they're actually inviting you into? So we need to make room for it to be clear, purposeful, engaging, passionate. And so this is where I just want everyone in the room to hear this. Sometimes you got to alter the way you come out of that bumper so that it is clear. So if that's a swell, like let's say the intro of the song is just super high energy and the worship leader feels like they got to just shout over and they can't get it there, it's not clear. So you have to alter the intro of that song. Either the band plays a little bit less, still dynamically strong, but less busy, or you swell out of the video so that you can actually hear what the worship leader or the person welcoming is saying. Another thing I wanted to just talk about, so we got transitions, clarity, and then Have you guys ever heard of the Devil's Tritone? Anyone hear this? Where you're like, I just went from one song and then there was this minor third transition that happened in a happy song and you're like, something does not feel right. It's called the Devil's Tritone. So make sure you're thinking through the right keys, progression relative to each other. Real quick on audio. So some of what you're experiencing, and maybe it's a little harder to articulate, but we're never going for just being loud. And so we've been talking about this a lot. It's not about being loud. It's about having a full sound that matches the dynamic of the song that we're leading. So it shouldn't just be, how loud is this, but is it feeling full? Can I hear the vocals? Could I hear Cameron when he was singing? Am I actually thinking through that? Is there anything offensive to my ear? Is there a mix or an EQ? Maybe you don't even know the words to use for that, but you're like, I know it hurts. And so can I articulate that to my production worship leader and anyone else in the room that's helping shape that? As far as visuals, we talked through, there were so many different visuals happening. And I know you guys, as campus pastors, have been talking about haze a bunch and having consistency. Haze is one piece of the equation. How much you use, how little you use, when you have it going. Is the hazer working at all? There's lots of things that you got to think through, but it impacts lighting greatly. But can people see the expressions on your face that you're actually, back to what Jason was saying, engaging and expressive? Can they see that? Can they feel that? And if it's not lit well, maybe you're trying to create a mood in the room, but it's not helping people engage. It looks cool, but they can't even see the expression on your face. That's important. Are the right song leaders lit? Graphics. We talked about graphics. Man, that person needs to be they're a worship leader, man. They're leading that room in worship. Stage presence. Is the band engaged? Is their energy matching the song? Are they moving? I mean, these guys were like statues in that song, and it was so awkward. Not only are they moving, are they actually looking around at the room? Like, are they scanning the whole room, or are they just locked in on the confidence monitor? All right, the last thing I'm going to say, then I'm going to turn it over to them to actually practice some of the things that we're talking about and correct some of the common challenges we have, is how to leverage midweek rehearsals and run-throughs differently. And what I mean by that is, man, every worship leader should be running transitions at rehearsal. Like, even your run-through can't be the first time you're seeing transitions. You should run those at rehearsal for your band. Even if you feel good about it, your band needs to feel good about those transitions. Like, what is this? I don't want to be surprised, because I don't know about you guys, but our volunteers, when something happens that they don't expect, they just stop playing. And that doesn't help any transition. Does Ableton, okay, those of you guys in charge of Ableton, does it need to be tweaked a little bit to help the transition feel right? Have I done that kind of work? Have I listened through that before I even get into the rehearsal? Have I talked through the gathering flow with my worship leader, production, and CP? Do we know what the gathering looks like before we get to run through? Do we know who's doing VNO before we get to run through? Have we talked about those things? And we're going to get to that in a second. Have we identified really what is maybe the big takeaway in this gathering from what we know? And is it winning? Is it clear that this is an important part of the gathering? Have we talked through these things? And so I think there's just room for us to grow in how we even get to a run through before we even get to gatherings. How do we talk through these things? So what we want to do now is have the band take a second stab at running these very elements one more time. We might not go the whole way, just interest of time. But notice some of the changes that are made to help these things land differently, okay? So we're going to start from the top, from bumper, and rerun, and see what happens.
welcome to LCBC. We are so glad that you guys are here this morning. Would you stand? We're going to sing together. Spend some time lifting up our amazing God together. So come on, let's sing this out. Sometimes you gotta dance through the darkness, sing through the fire, and praise when it don't make sense. Sometimes you gotta stare down the giant and worship from the lion's den. Sometimes you gotta shout it from the mountain, louder in the valley, trusting that he's gonna get you there. Sometimes you gotta welcome the wonder, wait for the answer, and worship with your hands in the air. I'll praise you anywhere. Praise, give him praise, give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise, give him praise in the highest. He is worthy, yes, he is worthy of all the praise. Sometimes you gotta praise in the prison, cry out to heaven, shout until the doors swing wide. Sometimes you gotta stand under shackles and brave in the battle, worship with your hands held high. I'll praise you anywhere. Praise, give him praise, give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise, give him praise in the highest. He is worthy, yes, he is worthy of all the praise. Give him praise, give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise, give him praise in the highest. He is worthy, yes, he is worthy of all the praise. Yeah, our God is worthy and he is faithful all of our days. So come on, we're going to sing this out together. Faithful all my life, blessings day and night, countless reasons why I'll praise you anywhere. Every promise kept, goodness every step, each and every breath, I'll praise you anywhere. Faithful all my life, blessings day and night, countless reasons why I'll praise you anywhere. Every promise kept, goodness every step, each and every breath, I'll praise you anywhere. Praise, give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise in the highest. He is worthy, yes, he is worthy of all of the praise. Oh, he is worthy of all our praise. I'll praise you anywhere.
Worthy of our praise, Jesus. Oh, you'll never let us down. We serve a God who's faithful. He'll never let us down. Come on. He's been faithful to you. Sing these words with me. Christ is my firm foundation. He's the rock on which I stand. When everything around me is shaking. Oh, I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus. 'Cause he's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. All right. So what are we noticing? What are some things that you noticed? They're happy. That's a good start.
Allison's voice is different when she's smiling. Like, she sounds different without even
If you missed that, by her smiling, her voice actually sounds different in a good way. What else? Transit, like what about the more cohesive? Oh, man. One of the moments for me, like if I were in that gathering, that meant, or I would say, maybe didn't mean the most, but took me to another place was seeing Sarah on bass with her hands raised. So I don't know about you guys, but encourage your team members. Backline, man, when I see a drummer with his hands raised, bass player, keys, it's so powerful. What else? A couple more.
The greatest engager of our time. According to Jason Mitchell. Quote Jason Mitchell.
Lighting made way more sense. Like that first chorus hit, the backlighting came up. You could see them. It went to the right person when they were leading a song. How about lyrics? Totally different, right? Sean just claps. Yep. Yeah. Yep. I think one of the most important parts of that right there is that the front of house engineer and worship leader in particular have talked through that transition. Like, hey, we're going to be fading in. We're going to be swelling with 7 to 10 seconds to go. So make sure that fader is ready to come up. Like, if you haven't talked through that, the band could even be doing the right thing, but the front of house guy doesn't know, like, what are you shooting for there? What kind of transition should that feel like? And so talk through those things. Maybe one more. Mm-hmm. Couple things there too. You could actually hear Cameron's guitar. So we're a guitar-driven church, man. The way we lead, electric guitars should be in the mix. And so if you notice the first run through, it was like 90s wow worship with the acoustic just like, can't even, you actually maybe hear the electric strings audibly over the actual electric guitar. So yeah, just not being afraid to mix those things properly. How about just stage presence in general? What are some things that you saw? Not only having fun, but specifically like intentional choices. Yep. It was visible. Yep.
They were moving, like Cameron was dancing all around. Great.
Yeah. How about taking his mic off the stand and just removing that barrier for a second and just coming forward and making that personal? I feel like those are sometimes very vulnerable spots for worship leaders, but important to like maybe move out of your box for a second and make sure your lighting guy's aware of that, but move out of that box and engage people differently, like pull them along.
Well, even the first time we went through his falsetto, it felt like I can't hit it. The second time it felt intentional. Yeah, that's good.
Yep. Cool. So here's what we want to do. Before we leave this section, I really, in the notes part of this, could you take a minute and just write down just one thing for you personally that you would take from this to maybe think this through differently headed into this weekend's gatherings and rehearsals and run-throughs? Like, what is one thing that you could implement from this experience that would help set you up and your team up for great gatherings? So take a minute.
All right, y'all. As we're coming back, hey, one thing Scott brought up, which I thought was an interesting reaction. You guys remember the moment where Firm Foundation started and Cameron had some things that he wanted to say right there? We couldn't honestly hear him too well. And so, again, just a moment to be mindful of. I actually like what we did there. He's kind of establishing his leadership at the beginning of that song, and now we know he's leading us. But if we can't hear him real well. And that's not a knock on True. I love you, True. This was not a, yeah. But anyway, just a reminder. I wanted to ask this, though, like, what, like, again, the 30,000-foot view question is, how did that make you feel? What was different in the feeling that you felt? Or what did you feel from them that translated to you, Jesse? You wanted to sing. Yeah. Focused. Drawn in. You felt like we were celebrating.
I actually didn't want to stop. I was like, it's hard to stop it.
Yeah, I felt conviction. Like I believed them. Like that was like emulating from them. Could feel it. I wanted to join in and be a part of it. Before the bridge. Yeah. Right. And so again, yeah, it's a great thing to think about. You want to add those little engaged moments. Make sure you're communicating about it, because it can be a detractor. If a worship leader is saying something and it's, we don't know what you said. Is that good or bad? Who knows? Let's just keep going. Exactly. Yeah, I actually hope you hear that, because I think what we're saying is don't fill every space, right? People need to insert themselves into these songs, and letting their own thoughts take them where they need to go is sometimes more powerful than us just cramming all the things we think we should say into these songs, if that makes sense. Cool. So I just want to bring us back a little bit before we head into this next section to one of our main goals of the day. Chuck had 3. I'm going to boil it down to 1. Sorry. That's just. So I think the goal of today is what's happening around our tables, and for us to be in a constant culture of feedback and collaboration when it comes to these gatherings. If nothing else happened today and you guys just ended up talking more about gatherings, like that's a great thing. Like that's what we want. So the way that I'd say it is, we want you to get all up in each other's business, okay? That's like the point of it. What we don't want is for you to be siloed in your area, specifically when it comes to the main gathering, right? I don't want worship leaders just taking care of worship and CP has no input. Production has no input on that. I wouldn't want a CP doing an announcement set and no one gives them any feedback or any thoughts, right? Like, we are all owners of creating this experience together. And so because of that, we want to work hard to collaborate and to create environments where we can have constant communication about this stuff. Side note real quick, this is why we have an eval meeting, by the way. We have an eval meeting, so it's really a tool for you. I've told this to CPs, I think, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 months ago. The eval meeting is a tool for you to talk about the gatherings at your location. Talk about what the wins were, what the work-ons are, and to be in constant kind of communication. We ask a couple questions. To me, they're much less important than you guys getting that time together to work through and have that conversation about your gatherings. That's the most important thing. Yeah, we like some of the feedback too. We may tweak some of the feedback, by the way. That's a little tease. or tweak some of the questions, but we'll let you know about that in the future. Another thing I'll say, another side note I'll say too. Well, actually, let me jump into this. So we're going to move on to the next portion. We're going to run from basically like a third song in the gathering into a prayer moment and then into V&O, okay? And so we're going to see that whole package together. And so as we work through that, again, like I just said, our purpose is to get in each other's business. And so I'm gonna flip how I want feedback after this section. CPs, I want you to be listening to the music, okay? Specifically the music and the feel of V&O that gets created, okay? And I want to hear feedback from you on the music. I know some of you CPs would say, I feel inadequate giving feedback on music. I don't know what melody or harmony or why there's a bridge in a song and why we're getting on a bridge in a song, right? Listen, I'll just say I really believe that you guys are in the best position to give feedback because you basically are telling us how it feels at that point. And the feel is more important, honestly, than execution. Execution goes away, and you can speak to feel. How did it make you feel? And so you should feel more adequate than probably you think at giving feedback to music. How did it make you feel? Right? You can all describe that. So anyway, CPs, I want you listening to music. Worship Leaders Tech, I want you listening to the V&O set. Right? Did the content move you? Was it encouraging? Was it engaging? Was it inspiring? Right? Again, our purpose today is to be able to give feedback to one another and create a culture of collaboration. So let's hit the next portion. Kevin is going to give us a V&O set. Give it up for Kevin ahead of time. Thank you, Kevin.
God, we're just grateful that no matter what we're walking through, you're God who's with us. Even when things around us are shaken, things around us feel like they're falling apart, you're a God who's faithful. God, even when we don't measure up, God, we're reminded of in your word how it says, without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sins. And so, God, we thank you that the blood of Jesus on the cross is what justifies us. God, we pray that today, just as we continue in this time, that you'll sanctify us, help us become more like you. We pray all this in your name. Amen. It was so good singing with you. You can take a seat.
Welcome to LCPC. Glad you are here today. Man, I love doing this with you guys. This is so good to be at church today. Hey, a couple things for you as you're here. First, we love getting to know who you are. I love getting to know you. You guys are my absolute favorite. So I would love if you would check in right now. We do this every week we're together. You can check in by texting check in to 20022. You can check in on the LCPC app if you've got in your phone right now, or you can check in by filling out a piece of paper and putting in the boxes on the way out. All those ways you can check in, and it's my favorite thing that you do every week, so please check in with us. Now, if you've never been to First Steps, we've created an environment that has food at it. You get to meet Allison, our worship leader. Give it up for Allison. Okay, you get to meet her, you get to meet me. I love getting to meet you there too. If you would come, I would love for you to be there. All you gotta do is just let me know you wanna come and I'll tell you how to get there. So make sure you know First Steps is happening the first weekend of next month. I'd love you here. Next, giving. When we give to God, what He does, we bring it like 10% back to Him, and He does what He does with it. And one of the things He does with it is He takes care of us, but He also does things through our church. Like, He does so much, you guys. And if you look around, you can see all that God is doing around our church. And so give today. One of the easiest ways to give is using the LCBC app. You can also give by texting give to 20022 or any of the ways you see on the screen today, like in the box in the back. So just give today. All right, next and last, Impact PA is coming this weekend. Guys, Jason's been asking us to do this and be a part of it. It is going to be amazing. Show up. I love what we do when we Impact PA together. So when we do Impact PA this Saturday, when you sign up for an opportunity, show up, wear your t-shirt. My family's doing Impact PA. I even got my little guys t-shirts. They're going to be in t-shirts. I'm going to be in a t-shirt. My wife's going to be in a t-shirt. And we're going to do Impact PA together. So I hope you'll do it with us too. Now, let's join in with the rest of our campuses for the last week of Get Your Mind Right. Check out the screens.
All right, what'd we notice? Yeah, what'd we notice? Remember, CPs, I'm asking for music stuff. Yeah, you barely count. Go for it. Yeah.
Not all CPs are created equal.
Justin, music was sleepy. Yep, came in on the fourth sentence, it was sleepy. And what did that, well, let other people respond.
It had to be in a minor chord progression of those two, because it didn't feel joyful.
To be real honest, that is a regular progression we do all the time. All the time. Yeah, and what would that mean if they would do that? Right. I think what I'm asking too is like, did it match Kevin's tone at all? No. Right. Right.
Can I add one thing to that? Did anyone notice, so you said prosody of like what we're saying matches how it feels. How about just as far as communication goes, the content of Cameron's prayer?
Yeah, what
So we're very like, energetic, welcome, like what did you hear?
Yeah, what'd you hear from the prayer itself? Sanctified. Remission, shedding of blood.
Crush that.
Yeah.
So good.
I had to practice that.
Hey, so one of the things that was way too much, Jason said, be happy. So I was pretty happy. How did it make you guys feel?
It killed the moment. Like, the transition from Cameron to you felt so disingenuous because it was like his somber prayer to a hey! Felt, yeah, just not feeling the room.
It also felt like you were like yelling at her and not talking to her.
That's what I did this weekend.
Yeah, fix your mic. Yeah, there you go.
I was like, I don't believe you at all. Because it was just like everything. I love this, I love you, I love that.
It's also repetitive. The information you gave was repetitive over and over and over again. You kept saying, here, give. I'm glad to hear that your family and you are going to be wearing t-shirts.
Does that ever happen at your campuses?
Back here,
Sorry.
what was? Because he loved it the most. It was his favorite thing, I think he said. I do think that's, I mean, like the catch of the slide being wrong is great. It happens all the time, unfortunately. Yep, that's a great nuanced catch. Band body language during B&O is a big deal.
It's about music?
Yeah, that was Kevin's page turn, right? Or his turn signal for everything. Next.
I didn't feel like there was a win. Like even Impact PA when it's supposed to be like the win, you didn't like provide any stories for it. You were just giving like it was just like you were shooting through it.
Great. That's a great catch. So it was a very information-heavy set.
As opposed to,
There was no vision.
well, Jason told us to do it, so we need to do this.
So
I was kind of hoping he'd be here for that. I wanted to hear it.
Kevin, there was also a moment where you were saying the giving and portion where you're just like, oh, man, God does amazing things. So many good things, so many great, but never one.
Worship leaders, if you hear this stuff, I'm setting you up to help give good feedback on content. Because we say our crutches all the time when we're not sure. And so you can help me say, hey, that felt inauthentic. Do you have a good thing you can tell me instead of telling me it's good? And that feedback is so vital because we fall back to our habits of all the phrases I use are ones I hear all the time because I say them. When I don't know what to say, I say those things. And so those are really, all the stuff you're saying is really helpful.
yeah, just a note on that, a simple practical note. Worship leaders, you should be able to hear your hosts in your ears. And we're playing the same 4 chords for 3.5 minutes. We can listen to the content. I'm serious. Like, we can listen and give feedback to the content.
Does anybody know how long that VNO was? Thank you. Yeah. I thought it was the best part that Cameron didn't play the whole time.
Hey, so, go ahead, Cricky.
Yeah, that was not planned. Thank goodness Tim put those edges on our stage because I got to stay back now. I'm kind of back heavy, so I don't worry about it. Got large shoulder blades. It kind of weighs.
Hey, so any other thoughts? Any other CP music thoughts? Yeah.
Well, I think the feel of that, like it felt tempo slow, and Jeff's drums, like he wasn't hitting the snare at all, so like barely, like you'll crush it. So like if there's a way to increase tempo and get some more rhythm, that might be great to match.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. And that's a great segue to something I want to hit on a little bit. But I think I want to go back to what Brooke said about, again, the feel and the tone quite not matching and being right. Like, I think this was a great test case for why you should talk about things before you get to rehearsal on Sunday, right? Because if Kevin knows, hey, I want to come out with a hopeful, happy energy out of the set, you guys all just experienced that doesn't work with a normal down prayer, right? And so we have to talk about that beforehand. We've got to plan and prepare for that. That should hopefully be a midweek conversation. I think it is for Kevin's team now.
When we do it well, yeah. So, but we're also not, so this is both sides of the same coin. It's okay for us to pray serious things
Sure.
and to have some serious tone because that becomes relevant to the audience. But I think what we're hoping that we don't leave them there. And because some people in our room, what's relevant is they finally got pregnant after praying for 4 years.
Yep.
And we want to also celebrate with them that God is good, that he does come through in his promises, and hope-fill people who have maybe not
Yep.
have that. So it is still like reading relevancy. It's not just, man, I see this sometimes too. We just kind of come in hot thinking, here's what happy means. Why are you yelling? Well, Jason said be happy. Like, trying to experience it. Yeah.
Hey, so one of the things that was brought up here too is it felt like Kevin just rolled through the content, right? He gave a lot of information. So let me kind of riff on this a little bit. Anyone can get up here and just give information, right? Amy writes you a great script every week. I hear it often at your, yeah, thank you, Amy. We're so grateful. And Amy's script is actually very thought out, and she tries to run it in the time that's given, and it is a great option. But that is like baseline, right? The information is baseline. One of my favorite quotes when it comes to writing, and I interpret it in songwriting terms, is by Ernest Hemingway. And he said this, he said, writing is easy. Just sit down at the typewriter and bleed, right? And that is, in this context, would be, yeah, V&O is easy. I just get up there and say the things, right? Like, I can just say the things. No. Like, V&O, there should be an element of it where you are bleeding a little bit. I think what I mean by that, where you are putting yourself into your vision and offering time, where you are making it compelling, where you are visioning, encouraging, inspiring, challenging, moving people, not just rolling through a list. It should cost something of you each week. You should be vulnerable at times. You should share things that are important to you. You should pastor your community. Like, that is your 3 minutes is your time to pastor. I think we'd all much rather you pastor than just give the information. Now, I think you can do both. And I think we work to do both all the time. But another way I talk about it with our worship leaders, they're probably annoyed with this analogy, but I have all these different metaphors I use. And so one of them is like, Amy's going to give you a cake that's baked 85% of the way, right? It's basically just a cake. It would taste good if you serve that cake. But it's your job to finish off the last 15%. You got to put on the icing, the decorations. That's what takes it from a bland cake to a good cake. That's what takes it from a B, an 85% to a 95% to a 98%, is what you then put into the content, how you put yourself into the content. And so Kevin has done this masterfully, and he's going to show us right now. I'm just kidding. But I think it's the equivalent when we talk about it with worship leaders that Matt brought up before. We don't want people who just sing songs, right? And they go back to Jason's words. It's we want to encourage and we want to be expressive. And so we can leverage this time better. And this could be, again, something that we probably do a better job of planning at and talking about with our teams and giving feedback on as well. And so we are going to do another pass at this. We're going to do it a little bit different. Again, take notes, kind of highlight what you feel. Specifically, worship leaders, still think through content, feel. CPs, maybe think through music, tone, all that kind of stuff. And let's take another crack. Cool?
He won't fail.
'cause he's faithful. He won't fail. He won't fail. Oh no, he won't. Come on.
Pray with me. Father, you, God, over a whole universe, you are the one who also knows us individually. God, you know us personally. You know every hair in our head. You know every dream in our heart. You know everything about us, God. And so we sit here before you and declare that there's so many other things that want our attention, but you are the one, God, that we fix our eyes to. You're the one that we fix our ears and tune into, and God, you're the one we long our hearts to be connected to when we're done here today. Because there's all kinds of things that want our attention beyond you, but we declare through the words of that song, God, that you have never failed me and you won't fail me again. So no matter what I'm experiencing, you are God over the now, and you are God in the future as you've always been our God in the past. And we declare that that is the most truthful thing about us. So we walk forward in your confidence, knowing that you have got us. We love you, God, and we trust you with these things. In your name, amen. Hey, glad you're here today. Go ahead and have a seat wherever you're joining us from. I gotta tell you, there's been a ton of things around our campus this week that I've been thankful for. All right, you ready? Can you guys be thankful with me? All right, first of all, I gotta tell you, there are 19 middle school students that got baptized in our student ministry environments this week. Yeah, incredible. Hey, wait, hold on. There's another 8 high schoolers that get baptized on Wednesday night. And so, you're not gonna clap for the high schoolers? Okay, come on. No, seriously, look at these students. These are people that have said in front of their friends, their boyfriend or their girlfriend, their family, their peers, and said, I am all in with Jesus, and you know my life isn't perfect, but I've found the God who has changed me, and I want to tell my people I'm all in. So I'm excited about that around our campus right now. Second thing I'm excited for, Impact PA. You guys are doing an incredible job jumping in and serving with us this weekend. Now, hold on. Some of you guys don't know what Impact PA is, so let me tell you, let me remind you. We are together going to make a statement to our county. Now, you don't have to go too far to find a Christian who has a bad reputation, right? Especially in an election year. People, the way they talk about us, the way they say things about us, but that's not you guys, and I know that's not you. So instead of shouting from the rooftop that we're different, we're gonna show people that we're different this Saturday at Impact PA, and here's what we need you to do. You gotta sign up and show up. Because if you don't, we don't get to together. And so this is a simple way to do this. Go ahead and grab your phone out, sign up by searching for an opportunity for you around your area. One of the easiest ways to search is just put our campus in or put somewhere around you. Find an opportunity, click on that blue button, and when you click on that, tell you everything that you need to do to serve at Impact PA. But don't forget, this isn't just about doing the thing, getting the t-shirt. This is about changing our county and making a statement for Jesus to our neighbors around us. So if one of those don't work for you, you can do something in your neighborhood or your area of influence. Just sign up, let us know what you're doing, and we're gonna celebrate all the ways we're impacting PA next weekend. Now, third thing I'm thankful for, I didn't forget about you, is you moms. Moms, you guys thankful for the moms in here this weekend? Yes. The women in our lives that have given us life and who lead us in ways that are immeasurable and unbelievable, honestly. And so if you are here today, we have a little tradition to celebrate all women 18 years and older by giving you a little gift to recognize the influence you have in our life. Now, for some of you, I also know that you've lost a parent this year, or motherhood's not a part of your journey yet, and we understand this today, and so we want to bless you with a little something to say, hey, we got a sweet treat for you out in the atrium, just for all women 18 and older. Just go pick that up on your way out today. But there's so much to be thankful to God for around our church. And let me just pause and say, if you're new here for the first time, you couldn't have picked a better weekend to come. Isn't it amazing that somebody loved you enough to invite you to come to church and experience what they experienced? But you also just got to hear all the things our church is about. And so this is a community we want you to be a part of. And so there's 2 quick things we do each and every week when we are together to connect to God, but also to connect with each other. And you're getting your cell phone for this. So go ahead and pull out your cell phone. You got your cell phone? I know this table has theirs. You go ahead and pull out your cell phone. Let's see your cell phone. Great, cool. I like your back to the screen of your phone. That looks nice. All right, here's what I need you to do. Now, back to what we're doing. Go ahead and launch the LCBC app. When you launch the app, if you click at the top, you'll see all these things I'm gonna ask you to do. First thing is to check in. It's always better when somebody knows and uses your name. And so when we check in, that's how we use each other's names, and that's where getting to know each other starts. So check in each and every week here with us. If you're new around here, it might be easier to fill out that piece of paper, put in the box on the way out. Because if you check in for the first time, that's a milestone I want to celebrate with you. Because it's a big deal at our church to go from anonymous to known. And when you check in, I get to do that with you. And that brings me a lot of joy. And so secondly, we give to God each and every week we're together. When we give to God, what he will do is a lot in our church. I've been talking about that today, but even more in us. And if you're here, you're taking steps towards trusting Jesus. One of the most tangible ways you can grow in trusting Jesus is follow him in the area of your money by bringing a portion of what he's given you back to him and giving to God. And so today, man, this is a special day. I'm so glad you are here. Let's lean in. I don't remember how I ended this thing. It's a special day you're here. Hey, we got last week of when it hits the fan. What was it called? But before we do, we got a little something for you moms. Check this out.
When it hits the fan, it was like 3 months ago. That was great.
Pronouncing David's book his last weekend.
Oh,
Or the last one, that series. Man, those things.
what was I thinking? Yeah, it's a
didn't
lot
have
of
that in my head,
W's.
though.
We do a lot of
Yeah,
W's.
yeah.
Where God meets us. What to do when you don't know what to do. We have a lot of
Can't you
W's.
use like one
Serious.
word? Make it
Yeah,
easy on
we
us.
should. All right, what'd you feel? Felt engaged. Yeah, a simple way to say that is movement is more dynamic. You're going to move, you're going to feel different things. Actual interaction. Yeah, the actual interaction, even when we had the phone moment, and he was like, oh, I like that phone. He was
I probably
like,
wouldn't do that again, but yeah. So don't
he's
repeat
in the
that.
room
Yeah.
with us, though. He's in the
Yeah,
room
yeah.
with us.
I was listening to Jason talk about engagement and expressive, trying to interpret that for us. Like, what does that mean? When do I do it that's good? When do I do it that's distracting? The cell phone one was probably a distracting moment because I stayed on it too long. You can acknowledge it but keep moving. And then I got confused because I was trying to figure out where I was going. And so you felt that too. Yeah.
CPs, what'd you feel about music? Mark, you were going to say something. He was worshiping. So huge. CPs, it is important for your people to see you worship, especially when you're walking out on stage. That's such a simple thing to do, and I know a lot of you guys do that, but using language from the last song, even as your lead-in, is just, it helps create a connected experience. Like, we just all sang that together, and so when you use that, it's like, yeah, we were all here for this, right? Great, simple transition tool. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, he sucked. So,
He's trying not to judge the way you described that.
I was trying to put that in. Yeah, there. Yeah.
He did this a little more. Yeah.
No, sometimes musically we can add energy that doesn't get in the way. I think that's what you're trying to say. Cameron had a couple extra strums. Yep. Yep. Yep, band swelled when Kevin mentioned the
Hey,
baptisms.
So
right?
Manny asked me as a music director right now, right? He's like, what moments do you want me to focus on before I go to stage? So that held me accountable to not going rogue. But then I was able to tell him 2 moments, like, I think it'll be here, but read it. And then he took that and then created those opportunities too. So just in a quick conversation, syncing up.
Kevin, talk about the B-roll. Can we use B-roll?
I think there are so many more creative possibilities we can do when they match vision. And I think last year we started talking on our campus a little bit more of like, if you walk in our building, the south or north entrance, you will never see a student or kid in our whole building. And this will feel like the oldest church you've ever been to. Then you go 100 yards to the left, and it'll feel like a thriving young church. How do we put that visual in here so that the people that are funding that have some kind of connection to, and the grandparents that wish their kids brought their grandkids to church would know what to do and what happens here because they have zero experience walking around. And that's probably true for all of us. It's not just our distance at Manheim, but that came out of a real problem for us of like, you could never see the things we're celebrating. And then when we tell you about them, you have no context for what that means. So visuals became really important for us to break our church down for everybody.
They felt relatable. Yeah.
Before you ever asked anything of me, you kind of shared about what the church is about. You shared what God's doing here. So by the time you were like, hey, take out your phone, and I wanted to be a part of that. It wasn't like just something we hit right away, but I heard what God was doing, and it made me want to take out my phone if I was a first timer and get involved. So that felt really intentional.
What feedback did you give me Saturday? Remember? You and Amy. Amy, you remember? Check in and give.
Yeah.
He said, after I did it Saturday and run through it, said, it feels like you threw it in there. And so it didn't feel like that. So then it was, all right, maybe if we acknowledge there's a first-time guest here and this is what we're about, it won't feel like that way. So it was an extra 20 seconds that changed the feel. But I didn't feel that at all on stage. I thought I was doing a great job until you guys said you went so fast through that.
And I don't know, like, this is where, as a worship leader, like, if you were to hit that first, which I've experienced a bunch, that can feel like more listy, like things you want from me before I even really know what this is about, if that makes sense. Like, I just felt like that mattered because of that moment. You know, and I'm not saying it needs to be that every time, but that was just very different.
Worship leaders and techs, where did you hear Kevin bleed more than the first time?
I think the intentionality of him praying to Cameron
Yeah.
was a better transition.
The prayer.
You know, if you're transitioning from prayer to BNL, it's like really awkward for, I think, the worship leader to do prayer and then the CP or whoever's doing it come on stage with a different energy. You know, it makes it a more intentional thing to like have the person doing BNL do the prayer almost. You know, so it's not as weird of a transition.
Yeah.
It felt different.
Yeah.
I'm not communicating that at all.
No, you're.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't feel it with the amount of content. It's like I don't feel like I can be really story-driven personally. So you got to find it somewhere else to be honest and passionate or whatever word you use. But that was an honest choice to take out. Like, okay, let me grab prayer then, because I want a pastor. Yeah.
Depressed was a good term. Yeah, that first one was depressing. Phil. Tim. Oh.
Yeah, today was bumpy. Yep. What's that?
Matt, can you? Yeah, and we can coach the tone of the prayer. Because if we were to give Cameron some coaching, we could have transferred that energy better.
I think too, you said earlier, Matt, about when we sync up through the week of like, what are we doing this weekend? Like, Matt's voice needs to pastor our people too. And you don't have as much space in your time as I have for it. And so I need to set him up or let him rip with prayer sometimes and encourage him to like pastor here. Don't just transition us, pastor him here. And that is a really critical pastoral moment that our people need to experience. And so CPs are listening to prayer too. As we're pushing, like I'm always motivated when Jesus says in John 17, he goes, I'm praying for the benefit of these people. And you think, no, I'm just praying between me and God. He's like, no, Jesus led people through what he prayed. He led them to the Father's heart. And that posture is really great from our worship leader. It takes some of the pressure off us because our people are moving that direction already.
And remember, we're always teaching. Always. Jason gave us that note a couple months ago. Even our prayers are always teaching. Sarah, you were going to say something. I think a great place is to dialogue about it. I would, as a CP, I'd love to hear your idea. Hey, the song is ending big, so maybe this is a natural week for us to come out with a little bit more hopeful energy. They may be like, I really kind of wanted to pray and kind of have a moment first, and then you could equally accommodate that on the back end. And you guys could work through that together. Yeah. Hey, Matt, you had an interesting thought even about more specific to worship leaders, live drums for VNO. You want to talk about that for a second? And they all said, but I talk with my hands, Matt. I want to talk with them. Don't you understand?
we have time, I'd love to show the difference between the two. Just audio ones, just so you can hear the difference. 'Cause it's drastic.
Sure, another question.
Thank you.
And I was like hearing, and so I leaned over to Tim and I was like, do you feel like the guitar is competing with Kevin? And because I don't know if it's just because I'm distracted easily or what, but we are constantly trying to hold that tension of like the band's too low so it feels really sleepy, or the band is too high and it's competing with Kyle. And the other thing is like I'm hearing the drums acoustically on stage, but not out of the speakers, and that really grinds my gears. But should it not grind my gears? Should I? Is that okay?
What should take precedence, I think, is the best question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is the tension with it all. I think everyone feels that in every room.
Every room is going to feel a little bit different, you know, and you're going to have to feel that out in your room. I do think, though, also what's being played matters. So if guitar is playing more open, it's not going to fight. You can crank it more if it's not playing as busy. If it's playing busy, then it's going to fight with what he's saying. So I think playing a simple progression matters. I think that will give you the ability to boost a little bit more. Realizing what you can boost too. Guitar and keys are gonna, like piano instead of pad. Like guitar, piano, that's gonna be in the same range as his speaking voice, and that's gonna compete more. Whereas bass and drums probably won't. So you can boost bass, drums, pads, some of those things to create more of a bed, and let the guitar and piano stuff be just a little bit more filler, a little underneath. So how you mix that matters as well.
Hey, and I'll just say, practically, this is a great thing to virtual sound check. Record it, get in the room together, listen to it, feel it out, have a conversation about it. Yeah.
Also, make EQ cuts from front of house to those problem instruments. You can carve out some of that space that then allows the communicator to make a little more complete in that. And that doesn't have to be cuts that are, or that can be cuts that are maybe too aggressive for an actual song. But just so you know, you can get away with it.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Anything else to wrap this time? Chuck's going to make you write down your one thing that you got from this time.
Two
So,
things, actually. No.
Uh,
But I do love, like, I hope this gets you talking to your CP, you know, because that's really. Again, if we boil it down, that really is the main takeaway today: is collaboration, feedback, decision making. Here's two things I just want to make note of, and then we'll wrap up. One, that handout that we gave you guys. If you flip it over to the other side, we wanted to give you questions related to each discipline that will help give you the opportunity to have the right conversations between all of those involved. And so we hope that those would be helpful to you if it's a lighting question, if it's an audio question, if it's something else. Those are represented on that sheet. Again, this isn't exhaustive, but it's just to help the conversation happen. So please keep that with you. I'll also get you a digital copy of that so you don't have to worry about keeping the papers. So, but hopefully that is helpful to you. Secondly, again, I would just say, what's the one thing you and your team are taking away to implement this week? Make sure you have that in mind. Because, man, don't walk out hoping that you'll implement these things. Actually do it. Write it down. The last thing, I just want to go back to something Jason said, just to wrap us up. So we all heard engaging and expressive, right? And he actually referenced 1 Corinthians 14 as his marching orders of like clarity in our gatherings to help people engage and feel like they can express their relationship with Jesus in this space. And what I love about the passage that he referenced is it closes in verse 25, and this is how I want to end. Just pray this together. So 1 Corinthians 14:25 says, as they listen, okay, as people are in our gatherings that might not know Jesus, as they listen to intelligible words, as we make it simple and relevant, their secret thoughts will be exposed, and they will fall to their knees and worship God, declaring, and this is how I want to end, God is truly among you. God is truly among you. And so the whole point of getting in the weeds is to make this mission as clear, accessible as possible. And I know we know that, but that's why we're getting so detailed today. We hope that you can take things away that help you keep gathering simple, excellent, appealing to those that don't know Jesus. And our hope is that they're like, man, God was here. God spoke to my heart. God is changing my life. And so let me just wrap us up in prayer, and then we'll be on our way.